friends, and welcome back to Beloved Reviews. If you're new here on this channel, I share with you delightful, family-friendly, and faith-based movies and television shows. Happy Saturday, y'all. I hope your weekend is starting off marvelous, delightful, filled with fun and joy and all the wonderful things that the Lord has blessed you with. But yeah, as for me, I am doing amazing. Super excited to be spending this time with you all so we can get into all these characters' business. One of my favorite things to do, and I'm so happy you decided to stick around for it. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our special feature today, which is titled Free Rein. Now, this is season 1, episode 1. So yes, we are reviewing the series here. And I was first introduced to this whole story here because y'all remember for Valentine's Day, I did Free Rein Valentine's. That was my first time coming across this whole story, and then to see that it's actually based off a TV show, I was like, okay, I have to get into this. All right, I do. So I'm so excited to be stepping back into the whole Free Rein universe here, being brought back into Zoe's world with her wonderful family. Now, y'all do remember that I said this is a family that has come from the States. They are back in England now for the entire summer. It is Zoe, her little sister Rosie, her mom, and they are staying with her grandpa in England and his beautiful property. It is so nice. I just love just watching the whole series. Well, not the whole series, but episode 1. Just watching it, and I was like, I just get caught up in the scenery, all the greenery, all the land, the animals. It's just so breathtaking and make me feel like, okay, I have stepped out into a whole nother time and place in a whole nother space. So that alone is captivating to me. That alone keeps me focused, keep me engaged, and keeps me like, okay, I can see this. I can see this. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this, right? So here we are introduced to Zoe. We can tell based off how the series starts that this is Zoe's world. We are in her head. We are in her thoughts. She is narrating at the same time. She is engaging with what's going on in her reality, her present here. And she is coming from the States, and she doesn't seem like her little sister. Her little sister, they're from LA, I think. Her little sister seems very LA, very California, I was about to say California dream baby here, because she has that whole thing going on with the glasses, the glittery, sparkly outfits. Seeing like she wants to be an actress, model, something in the spotlight that seems to be Rosie's personality. She is not, I know I kind of jumped from Zoe to Rosie, but I'm just taking you through my, forgive me y'all, I'm taking you through my thoughts here, walking along with these characters. And yes, like I said, you can tell this is Zoe's world, but when her little sister is introduced, my mind just goes on, girl, you just a little too much, okay? You got a little too much going on for me. But you can tell she is pretty. You can tell she's fun. I can see that. Like, Rosie is going to give you a time as being her older sibling. That's what I get. And me growing up, always wanting to have wished I had like a little sister. Of course, my mind is going there and thinking, what if my little sister was like Rosie here? Could I really handle that? Or would we be clashing or something like that? I don't know. But overall, I think Rosie would be pretty fun. But moving back to Zoe here. Zoe doesn't seem like she's missing LA, California, missing the States at all. Even though her mom is kind of pulling them out of their world, the world that they have known their entire lives, to come to England for this summer. And I know it's supposed to be, at least the mom is making it seem like it is temporary. It just considers like a summer vacation to get away from whatever they had going back on in the States. Zoe doesn't seem like at all bothered by it. Unlike her little sister Rosie seemed like, are you kidding me? She needs her Wi-Fi. She needs her friends. She needs that world that she's left. But Zoe doesn't seem to be that way. She seems to kind of, I don't know, like it almost seems like she grew up in England in a sense. To me, as far as like how she is like getting used to things so quickly, being able to adapt so quickly, not at all like complaining, getting on her mom's case about this. Like, why would you just up and move us here for the entire summer? You would think somebody Zoe's age would be that would have that voice and stand up to her parents to be like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't want to leave my life. That was my entire life back in California and in the States. But Zoe seems to be very mature for her age. Like, she's adapting very well. She's taking on a little bit of that responsibility, as far as like, you can tell just for a split second that the roles have been kind of like shifted a little bit, because mom here seems like she has a lot going on, a lot of baggage, a lot, like, seems to rely on Zoe for that peace, whatever it is that Zoe has inside of her that makes her more adaptable, makes her more calm. She has that about herself, just a calm, gentle spirit here. Her mom seems to rely on that. You can tell her mom is dealing with a lot of probably mental health issues or concerns and trying to raise her daughters, probably seeming like she's kind of trying to have to adapt to getting used to being single mom here, even though dad is technically in the picture financially, but emotionally and in the certain ways that we do know that we do need a dad there, he's not necessarily in the picture here. We don't necessarily know why. It kind of touches on it a little bit, but for whatever reason, mom and daughters are here in England, and they're kind of, Zoe seems like she knows what's up a little bit more, and her mom is kind of relying on her to keep that a secret from grandpa. Like, as far as he's concerned, as far as he knows at the beginning of the episode, is that his girls are here for the summer and they're here for him. Like, they want to spend time with him and all of that. Pretty cool, right? But we do get a little bit of glimpse from what Zoe says, and then she catches herself that it's much more than that there are there for the summer. And like I said, Zoe seems to be more of like having to be a support for her mom as well as for the sister here. So they step back into England, whole new world here. Like I said, Zoe is adapting pretty quickly, looking around, getting to see a little bit of history of her family's history, of her mom's side of the family history here. Like, looking at the books on the shelves, that catches her eye. You can tell Zoe is into books, likes to read. And she's moving into this whole world, right? And I'm loving this because me being myself a storyteller, enjoy reading books and all of that. So I'm like, okay, I feel Zoe. I can totally see my middle school era, high school era, that she would be someone that I would love to hang out with. Zoe seems like more of an indoor kind of person, loves to read, probably can catch her watching a few movies here and there. I don't know. We just can't introduce her. I know I'm painting this little whole picture. I could be totally wrong, but whatever. Okay, we're here for it. But anyways, moving on. So as Zoe starts to look around, like look at family photos, seeing photos of her mom as a kid, and you can tell it's totally painting a picture for her here, giving her a little bit more insight into, like I said, family history, but also her mom's history, which I feel like is pretty cool. You can tell her and her mom are very, very close. And like I said, her mom relies on her in a lot of ways, even probably in a way of that friendship, sisterhood type of thing, which is pretty cool to see on screen. But I can imagine in real life that can be very difficult, can be very, like, I can imagine in real life that people will probably drag her mom like through the ringer with the fact of like saying probably you're irresponsible, like you're not supposed to be your kid's best friend, you're supposed to be their parent, and on and on and on. But to see it on screen, we love to see it because it's so cool, because we want to, I mean, as girls, you want to probably, I can imagine me thinking about when I was a little girl, that I wanted to have that close relationship with my mom, in a sense of, yes, that is my mom. You would have that respect for her, but also would love to be able to tell my mom everything. I would have loved to grow up like that, felt that way, and have that strong connection with your mom. And I know in the times in real life, reality, that isn't the case for most girls. You know, but that's why I say we love to see it on screen, because it makes us feel like, oh, wow, it gives us a little bit of that hope. If you are the on the mom side of things, or if you're the daughter side of things, I can imagine it still would do the same thing. Or if you're just past that whole season, that doesn't really affect you either one way or the other. You just love and enjoy seeing it on screen because it just gives you that comfort. I don't know, something about that comfort and that peace that does it for the girlies here, okay? But anyway, so Zoe does kind of go ahead and grab a book off the shelf, escape to outside. Like I said, the scenery here, grab a shoe, pulls you in, all that land, the greenery. Zoe flops down on the ground and kind of want to lose herself in this whole world. You can see the breeze blowing her hair, and it's just like, oh, like I could use right now. I could use a moment like that, just a moment of quietness, and that seems to be what Zoe wants right now. A little bit of escape from having to take on and serve so many different roles here, being the big sister, being the support system for her mom, in a sense, having to be an adult life just for a tad bit, just to keep mom, together a little bit and not totally insane. That she kind of does mention this in this episode, and she's ready to escape into this world of fairy tales, fables, myths, whatever it is. And then mom pulls up on the scene, hysterical. And Zoe's like, oh my goodness, like, are we back to this? I thought we left the States and left all of this behind to start over fresh here. And now we're back here, mom. What is going on now? Why are you insane? Why are you crazy? Why are you in my face now again? And her mom is like, her little sister Rosie is missing. Like, we got to do something. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it's crazy. And I told you, it reminds me like the role that Zoe does play, have to step back into adult like role here and like, okay, mom, get it together, breathe, remember your exercises, which lets me know, okay, mom has been seeing some kind of therapist, going through it mentally, emotionally, and just don't have it together. And Zoe's like, okay, take a chill pill, mom. It's all right. She couldn't have got that far. Where can she really go here, right? You just go relax yourself somewhere. And her mom decides to hang out by the phone. Grandpa is like, okay, that was a little bit off, a little bit weird here. Seeing his daughter kind of behave in that sense, and then seeing his granddaughter, who should be more panicky, more like you have to calm her down. And yet she is like adult here, telling mom to chill. She got this. She will go find Rosie. And that's when Grandpa asks this question, and he starts to pieces together. And it's like, okay, so you all are not just here just because you want to hang out with Grandpa and you want to. That's not the case either. And then Zoe admits, no, Grandpa, like, I'm sorry. I love you and everything, but no, that's not why we're here. Like, it's basically a lot more going on. And Grandpa's like, great. He's so cool. And I love that. I want to say, since we are on the subject of Grandpa here, I want to say that I love that about Grandpa, that he's pretty relaxed, cool, and chill, enjoying his age, his twilight years here. You can tell nothing really gets him off course as far as like, he doesn't take things to heart. Like, and I love that. I feel like more of us need to be that way about life, about people, circumstances, because we have to face it here. And it seems like Grandpa has gotten this, right? Hopefully we can get this before we get that age of Grandpa, and that kind of whole thing is we don't have control. As much as we would love and feel like we would like to have some control of life, of circumstances, and all these types of things, we don't. God is truly the only one in control. He's the only one that controls that narrative here, and we are just here to do the best that we can. To live, to put a smile on his face. At least I will hope that's what you all are here for, right? But yeah, to know that we don't have that control, and to let go and to live. Because you don't want to look back on your younger years, your youth, and feel like, oh, like, what was I thinking? Like, why didn't I enjoy every moment? Why didn't I get out and live life instead of living afraid, living concerned, living with what are we going to do the next from moment to moment, and know that you have no control over anything. So just get out there and enjoy every moment so you can have those memories to look back on, have good memories to look back on and not regrets. And that's what I get off of Grandpa here, that, okay, we're on another adventure here. This is summer. This is an adventure. I got my girls home. And he could have felt some kind of way. He could have been in his feelings about why his daughter and his granddaughters are back home. But he let it roll off his shoulder like it was nothing, and know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're here. I love them. That's not going to change, right? So Zoe goes off to look for her baby sister, and she stumbles upon this whole nother farmland, like their neighbors in a sense, who's a little bit down the road, and she meets these girls who are about her age, and they are so taken by her. I guess because she doesn't have an accent, she's from a different place. And then we can imagine when you're in the States, you grew up in the States, I guess a lot of people, Americans, are like that about others who come from other countries. To hear the way that they talk, the way that they dress, and the whole vibe that they give off, it's interesting. You're like, wow. And that's how these girls are responding to Zoe, who's from the States, and they grew up here in England with their accent and grew up on horses and are outdoorsy. And you see Zoe, who's got a whole nother vibe going on, and you can tell. What I want to say is, and this is so cute and so nice to me, right, that the girls that she meet here, even though they know a difference in her, they sense that she's not from around there, they come off as very friendly. They don't come off as like snobbish, like who are you, and that type of thing, because we see so much more of that now, especially in this whole generation. And when I say generation, I'm not necessarily talking about age. I'm talking, it don't matter the age, whether young, old, middle, whatever the case is. When it comes to coming across people who are different, whether they look different, they behave different, they dress different, people don't seem to embrace that here. At least that's what I've noticed. And you can even see it not only in reality, but even online. Like, people don't come off as embracing and like, hey, over here, like, and people come off more as gatekeepers, as almost like you're a threat. They feel like you're trying to like step on their territory, like get away. People are more like protective of what they got going on, and people may not even be thinking like that. They just simply thought you were interesting, would love to connect on some friendship kind of basis. But nowadays, people don't seem to embrace that type of thing for whatever the reason. People are more territorial about what they got on, whether it's with their craft, the things that they have built, or whatever the case is. People seem more like that. And so I love that these girls here embrace Zoe and give her, I don't want to say we're complimentary to her in a sense. So they weren't afraid to say that she's like, one of the girls made up this word whoresome, like awesome, but she's into horses and stuff, like whoresome. Oh, you're so whoresome. She's the definition of whoresome. And I love that because if you come across someone who you feel like, and it's like, don't embrace people with jealous and envy. Like, if they cool, got a cool vibe, different things going on with them, compliment them, like embrace them, like, yeah, say like, wow, I'm feeling this, be that kind of type of thing. I love that kind of vibe. And that's the vibe that I get here with these girls. And Zoe falls right into it. Like, even throughout this episode, the girls are kind of more on introductory basis right now, but you can tell that you can see a friendship building. You can see a connection here building. And that's because they weren't like with their butts on their shoulders. They weren't like giving people the side eye, like who you think you are or whatever. But simply embracing who they are, who God created us to be. Because there's only one you, which lets us know that people need to be acting all like stinking stuff. Like, be friendly to people, because you don't have to be like, you don't have to be some kind of way, right? Because you are who you are. There's only one you. Nobody can replace you. Nobody can necessarily be you, because God creative like that. You are the only one you. You're unique. So embrace everybody else gifts and the different things that they got going on. As when you see somebody cool and they're doing their thing, yes, you're doing your thing over here and they doing their thing over there. And so what if they may be getting in your eyes more attention or whatever the case may be? You are you. There's a audience of friendship. There is a family for you. You may haven't come across it yet, but it's out there. It exists. As long as you are who you are and embracing that and loving that, you're going to draw forth that. It's going to come eventually your way. And I think that's the thing that we forget as people, I was going to say as adults, but it goes for kids or whoever too, is you have to be comfortable in your own skin and you have to wear that with like, okay, I know I'm who I am. I know God loves me. I know that you gotta wear that thing and walk it out and don't worry about what everybody else got going on. Yes, you root for your friends, you root for co-creators and different people in the same field as you, but know that you are you and you have a special place in God's heart. And I got all of this off of these girls, the way that they embrace each other, even though you can tell they all grew up differently. They all are different in their own little ways, but yet they were all willing to be there for each other. And yes, the girls jumped in and was willing to help Zoe find her little sister. And I love that. But before we get into all of that, y'all, so Zoe borrows the girl's bike, and I was like, okay, that's so sweet. You let her borrow your bike, you don't even know her like that. That's nice, it's cool, right? And Zoe just riding the streets of this whole countryside of England, looking crazily for her sister, and what she ends up on, like the coast somewhere, right? And then this horse out of nowhere, because this horse was missing from the same stables that she met the girls from, this horse named Raven. I could tell Raven is going to play a very significant part of Zoe's story here and her whole stay this summer, because this horse is known to be wild and crazy, almost like they have to, in some sense, sedate him, because that's how crazy and wild this horse is. This horse doesn't necessarily connect with people like that. You can tell. And he's like this black stallion, beautiful. Every time I see horses and certain animals, I'm just reminded of how creative and good God is, like, to make these creatures. It's amazing. It's breathtaking. And so Zoe first encounter with Raven here, he is running towards her, look like he is going to tackle her to the ground or something. Zoe stumbles back on her feet, and then she gets up and she's like, whoa, like, wait a minute. And she's very calm to be experiencing something like this, because this is a city girl. This is a girl from the States, don't know nothing about no horses and being outdoors, and to be as calm as she was, I was like, it could only be God here, girl, to keep you like that. I do not know if I would respond like that. I'd probably be on the ground trying to get to my feet and running, girl. But I love how Zoe just kind of got to her feet, talking gently to the horse here and trying to keep him cool, and is in the connection. You can tell slowly but surely this connection is building between Zoe and Raven here. And then who pulls up along the coast ready to get thinking they have to rescue Zoe from this horse is the owners of the horse, who were looking for Raven, and they're immediately taken by Zoe's calming nature, her peaceful nature, the fact that nobody could ever really get this close to Raven, especially a stranger, and yet Zoe is right there talking to him sweetly, gentle, and she starts to get a little bit of him, get a little bit of his personality here, and notice that Raven likes to be free. Raven doesn't want to feel like he is being like kind of caged in a sense, being held captive in a sense. And so he is understanding to that, because I guess a part of her in a sense feels that way, even though we don't necessarily get into it in this episode. But like I said, the connection that they're sharing here, I am peeling back the layers, the pieces, and I'm like, okay, all right, Zoe, I'm here. Girl, be all right. Zoe, get through this. And she does end up calming Raven to the point where she walks him back to his home, and the owners of the horse are falling behind her just in case something pops off, and they quietly and gently get him back into the stables. And everybody is like, wow, this is like really get things popping off for Zoe here, getting her name to kind of float around this particular like countryside of England, is the fact that she connected with such a wild horse named Raven. And so back to Zoe meeting these girls who I told y'all about a little bit before now, right? So they end up exchanging numbers. But before all of that, they meet some bullies here, okay? The girls knew who from the area knew that these girls are bullies, kind of snobbish, stuck-upish, that kind of thing. That's what they give off. Probably grew up, with a silver spoon in their mouth, and they see the coolness in Zoe and want to connect with her on some real homegirl basis, right? But Zoe noticed right off the bat that because they seem very snobbish and like kind of dismissive of the new girls that she met who were trying to help her find her sister, she noticed right off the back, okay, this is not the crew. This is not the kind of girls I want to be connected to, I want to be a part of. But I like the girls over here who are willing to help me find my sister, who didn't come off that way at all. And so she does check these bullies in a very classy, down-to-earth kind of way. And I was like, girl, go Zoe. If we could have more people like that in real life, that's not trying to be a part of what they feel like, who is connected, who's out there pushing, who's out there making noise and all that. You got so many people who don't even agree with certain things, but because they feel like, oh, this such and such over here has more followers, such and such over here got more pull, I'm gonna play the part just to be in their world. And Zoe could have been like that. She saw that right off the bat with these girls, but she chose a different path. She chose a different route, as opposed to being popular and all that type of thing. That wasn't Zoe's goal, and she could care less about it. And I love that she decided to connect with the true girls who weren't about that, and who were obviously down for her and wanted her for who she was, because they were willing to help her find her sister. So they do exchange numbers. Well, after they end up finding Rosie. Let me tell y'all where Rosie was, girl. Rosie done found the only place that she could get some Wi-Fi at. That's where she was retired at. Had her laid back on some stack of hay, legs crossed, headphones on, like she was on the beach in LA somewhere. And you had everybody looking all around to wait for you, girl. Thought a horse done got you, Rosie. Ugh. Like, who you think you is, Rosie? But I was happy that anyway, she came back home. So he said home now, okay? And they end up going back home, and all the commotion, the ruckus of first day here in this whole countryside is supposed to be relaxing, supposed to be peaceful. That's what Zoe wanted. And here she had to go on almost this whole adventure, almost got attacked by a wild horse, had to find your sister who was missing. Mom is totally going insane in a sense. Because Rosie is missing. Then you got Grandpa who's just trying to get a hold of all of this, what's going on. And Zoe ends up retiring back on a blanket, back home on a grassy expanse of land with a book, and she's ready to escape in this book. And she opens it to read it. She's like, okay, finally, I can breathe now. I can breathe. But what she ends up hearing before she can truly escape to this wonder fantasy world, y'all, she hears this horse neighing somewhere. And she's like, nope, I'm going to ignore this. No more horses, no more people, no more anything, no more drama. It is me in this book right now. And she's like, in the end, rolling her eyes, who am I kidding? She runs over there and she sees Raven, and y'all, and so, I love that. And so holding his sweet little face, talking to him, and you could tell that connection is there with her and this horse. But what we have off in the woods somewhere, what kind of in the woods, is someone taking pictures of this connection that she's sharing with this horse. And we're like, okay, what is going on? There's a little bit of mystery here that the show ends up off. But I want to say, because it's coming to my mind, y'all know it got to be a little boy somewhere in this. But before Zoe ends up coming back home, and after finding her sister and all of that, she ends up running to Penn, okay? And this guy seems like giving all bad boy energy. Like he has this bag with him that kind of ends up in Zoe's path. She don't know what's in it, but she feels like you're up to something. What are you up to? And Penn is like, okay, well, check the bag. If you really think something's going on, check it. See. He's kind of like challenging her, right? And Zoe gets like, okay, that was a little bit too easy. I'm not going to make this any easier for you. She hands him back his bag and like whatever and walks off like it's nothing. But y'all know what the girls got to do. When you walking off from a guy that kind of got your attention, you kind of glance back like, okay, I'm filing that in my memory somewhere. And Penn does the same thing in a sense. Like, he is kind of taken from the moment that he even laid eyes on Zoe. And the fact that there's just a difference about her. There's something different. There's something special about her that he gets, that he's not used to. He hasn't seen around the way, but he's filing that in the back of his mind. Like, okay, that one right there, I got to keep an eye out on. But overall, that's how this story, I'm about to say the season story. No, episode ended right here. And this is once again Free Rein, season 1, episode 1. And yeah, this is Zoe's world and we're just living in it here. But before I leave y'all for today, we're going to go ahead and get into the scripture. And we're coming out of, and I just so love this scripture. I used to find myself back here a lot, because true friendship is truly hard to come across, and it's such a treasure when you do have it. So yeah, we're coming out of Proverbs 18 verse 24, and it reads, "A man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." So that's all I have for y'all for this video. I was about to say for this episode, but if y'all want to call it episodes, I'm good with that. So that's all I have for y'all. Y'all, please leave in the comments your thoughts, your overall take of this whole thing that we're talking about right here, whether you're watching the show or you're kind of watching it through my eyes here. Whatever the case is, I want to hear about it. And until next time, may the Lord bless and keep you both now and forevermore.